What's up, guys? Welcome to the Neutral Gym podcast, and this lovely voice is Ryan, and my
This mediocre voice is
partner
Corey.
in hey,
Sorry,
hey,
I didn't know you were gonna go
hey,
so long.
partner in just go. What's your name?
I'm Corey.
Okay. Anyways, we just wanted to create this scene before our first episode because we didn't really have time to introduce ourselves, I guess you can say, and tell us what topics we'll be covering, Corey.
Well, Ryan, since you asked, we'll
So
talk about.
nicely.
Yeah, exactly. We'll cover everything from video games to TV shows to films,
Movies, yeah.
but basically only the ones we really care about. We're not going to just do a general, just whatever video game is out. There could be months at a time where there's no video games that we care about enough to cover. We might have it where like all we cover is a particular cartoon for a couple months, and then when a big game comes out, then we cover that game, and we don't even care about the TV show anymore. It's just whatever we really care about, but across broad types of entertainment, like any type of entertainment, could be on this show that we
But
cover.
quite frankly, you might want to just expect video games because I'm more video games than anything. There's definitely some TV shows and movies I like, but I don't know. Like I'm not a big guy on that, so if we do, I might not be a big prominent feature on that podcast
I'll do my own secret episodes. We'll upload in a separate channel. I'm
by
just
himself.
kidding. Yeah, exactly. That would be riveting entertainment.
We'll like introduce and go like, "I'm Corey and I'm Ryan," and then like it'd be an hour of you
No,
talking.
or what I can do is just I'll be like, this is Corey, like this is Ryan, and just like pretend like that's you the whole time. Yeah, I'm sure that would also really entertain people and make them not turn off the podcast at that point for sure.
Anyways, another little, I guess, quirk or feature, or I don't know what to call it, of our podcast that it won't be scheduled. It won't be weekly, monthly, bi-weekly. It won't be anything like that. We want to kind of freeform because like we said about the topics, it's about the flavor of the month, or sometimes it'll be the flavor of the week, and sometimes we'll have it like two in a week for some odd reason, or maybe we'll have two in 6 months. It just depends on what comes out and what we like. Anyways, Corey, is there something else you would like to add?
Well, if you have any questions to ask us, you can email us at neutralginpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, neutral, and then Jin is Jing. There's a G at the end.
Yeah, even though you say Jin, it's Jing for whatever reason.
Looks like Jing. It's a Chinese word. Leave
Yeah,
it alone, okay?
leave it alone. So you can send us ideas for what you think we might cover, or just suggestions for the show in general.
Help us.
Tell Corey to talk less. I completely
Yeah,
understand.
tell
If
us both to talk less.
Yeah, exactly. Could you just insert segments of silence to just break up the talking of those two voices? I understand. I completely understand.
Yeah. Anyways, you want to introduce the first episode that we already recorded, but we didn't have. We had to do this because we didn't have a name for our podcast yet.
Yeah, minor details like the name of the podcast, just the small things.
We did like every single thing except name it.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
I had
let's
giant
work on
outline.
that later. Yeah, exactly.
I
And
like
I mean,
the name that
we
we.
ended up talking about The Last Airbender in our first episode. It's probably Ryan, at least the show that we both share that we both like quite a bit. Like it's probably my favorite show. It's probably Ryan's
Yeah,
favorite show.
it's probably my favorite. It's one of them. If it's like,
Yeah, it's top 10 easily. I
well,
mean, I
to
don't know
me,
if
it's
it's
like top
the
three.
yeah. I mean, it's probably somewhere around there. But yeah, either way, I mean, who cares exactly what? It's a great show.
Yeah,
Um,
the first episode that we did, we were planning on doing both about the first series, The Last Airbender, also about Legend of Korra because the first two episodes already were out. But little did we know, our guest that we brought on had limited time. Also, because this was our first podcast recording, so I had troubles recording and all that kind of stuff. So we had limited time, and we decided to dedicate the first one just to The Last Airbender. And we have already made plans actually to record another episode, and that episode will be covering the first three episodes of Legend of Korra. But until then, we hope you guys enjoy the episode, and see you guys later.
So today we're going to talk about Avatar, The Last Airbender, not the one with the blue people. It's not that one. And today we have a special guest, Sean Sandwich.
Hey guys,
Sandwich.
How's it going?
it's going pretty well.
Cool beans.
Yeah.
So we're all, I would say, pretty big fans of Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'm pretty skinny, but I'm still a big fan. Sorry.
Wow.
Bad.
But
Maybe I
Yeah.
should add in the time to remove that joke. No, I'm gonna leave that in.
Yeah, we're not marking down when people swear. We mark down, oh, there was a really bad, really lame joke in this part. Yeah, mark that time code. Take that out in post.
If my joke is bad, I'm gonna take it out. If it's yours, I'm gonna leave it in.
Yeah, make yourself look good, make me look bad. Hey, that's the advantage to being the guy editing the audio, you know?
Yeah.
you can also do like those inconvenient bleeps, make it sound like we're saying terrible things.
Oh yeah, I when I've edited some videos before, I've done that to people and bleep them
Yeah.
out. Look, they're saying something terrible, and they were not at all. But yeah, cool. Um, so do we want to start by describing the series, or kind of talking about how we got into the series personally? Or-
Let's talk a little bit about the series because now, since this is not the Blue People Avatar, uh, the Last Airbender kind of lost its first name. Now it's the Last Airbender and Legend of Korra. So the Last Airbender was the first series where it started in 2005, ended 2008. So it's actually pretty recent. It's only 3 seasons. I really wish it was longer though. I don't know
yeah,
about you guys.
I was disappointed. I mean, I had watched it after they were all completely released. I think I watched it probably in 2009. I'm
Yeah.
gonna guess maybe a
Yeah.
year afterwards when it was on Netflix, or whenever it was on Netflix is pretty much when I watched it. My brothers had both watched it, and they're like, "Oh, you have to watch this." And then I saw the Nick logo, and I was like, nah, I'm not gonna watch that. That looks dumb."
I'm pretty sure
But
90% of the audience thought that way too.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Then I actually watched it, and I was like, "Wow, this is really good." It's still surprising that it was not in widescreen, being from 2005 to 2008. That was one thing that always weirded me out, and one of the things that's awesome about Korra, is that it's like widescreen HD.
We're actually in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Well, not the future, just
Well,
up
present.
to date. Yeah,
Yeah.
like 2K, 4K is future, but yeah.
Yeah, for me personally, I can't exactly remember how I got into it, but it was kind of the same thing. I don't think I dismissed it as much as you probably did, but I didn't really follow it until just after. And then I think I just went online, found videos, and started watching it over and watched all 3 seasons like straight. Probably at unhealthy rates.
Oh, me too. I mean, even when I rewatched the show, like I just rewatched it the right before The Legend of Korra was being released, and I would watch like 6 or 7 episodes a day. Just like
Yeah.
I would just come home from work and sit down and be like, "Oh, okay, it's time for bed already." I just watched like an entire season today.
Have you guys ever done a marathon where you've tried to just like bulldoze through the whole thing in 2 days?
Oh, no way.
Not quite 2 days, but I got
You
pretty.
feel terrible afterwards, but it's great.
Yeah. I would do that if I had like a group of friends I was doing it with, but it would just be
Yeah.
sad if it was just like me
Oh
at
yeah.
the house. Just like that would just be
Yeah.
depressing with a big bowl of ice cream just watching it by myself.
Yeah.
But I've quite a few friends now that I've converted. Like my brothers converted me, but then like I everyone I talk to, if we get on the subject of TV and film and stuff, like I'm always like, Airbender, you have to watch it. And they're like, I don't know. It looks like it's for kids. And like, no, trust me, watch it. I'm the same
You've
way.
gone out and preached the word to
Exactly.
the masses.
Exactly. I'm the same way with Sherlock. It's like, no, watch it. You have to watch it. It's much better than the Robert Downey Jr. thing. Like,
That is a great show.
yeah.
I personally started watching it like halfway through. Um, I mean, I already watched a lot of cartoons like it, like Static Shock and stuff, but I got really hooked on the idea of like a story arc that actually had an ending to it.
Yeah.
So I loved the fact that it was just 3 seasons. Like, to me, that took guts. Like,
Yeah.
to
Yeah, definitely. There are
Uh,
some shows that just drag the simplest storyline out to like 7 seasons, and you're just like, oh, come on, just put a bow on that story and finish it.
yeah. Like, they started out, it was like the Fire Lord's got to go down. They established that in the first few episodes, and that's what it was. Like,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, listening to I got the DVDs for I think Christmas, and
yeah.
so after like I watched like through it all to get ready for Legend of Korra, and then I listened to like a lot of the or the audio commentaries, and one of the things they were like saying is that we knew it had to end. As much as we love this world, we can't just like keep going. And while I'm conflicted against it, I definitely like that it actually has an ending. But it's also one of the series that even if it keeps going, I would watch forever.
hmm
Yeah. But interestingly, like as far as TV shows go, they've written more of the actual, like the creators have written more of the actual episodes than most creators do. Like if you look at a typical show, you'll see the person who created it, and they'll write like 4 episodes out of like 10 seasons. Like it's like nothing.
Yeah.
But with Airbender, any episode that had a big story element, like they wrote that episode
Yeah, they're
like
definitely a big
almost
part of
every
the
time.
series.
But and then in Legend of Korra, I'm pretty sure it's just them writing it. Like that's
Really?
amazing because I'm trying to become a screenwriter, so I'm always looking at that kind of stuff and like. Because the thing is, when you create something, you don't want to lose control of it. That's like the worst feeling. So that's the thing with like with your first projects, you kind of just sell your soul eventually. Like, yeah, and just write that pilot, and then it's just like taken off and other people take it, and that would just be
Yeah.
the worst feeling. You know what I mean? Like, no, that's not what that
Yeah,
character,
I know what you mean.
not where they're supposed to go. I feel that Joss Whedon, guy
Yeah.
who did Serenity, Firefly, Cabin in the Woods, Doctor Horrible, just a million different really great things. Buffy the Vampire Slayer. When he did that show, I felt like that's kind of how that show went. He was kind of a part of it early on, and as the show went, the characters just went off in just bizarre directions, and I just lost interest at that point. And he wasn't really writing very much at that point. It was just like, what's going on? And he probably felt terrible about it too.
And these guys, haven't they like gotten around a lot? They've been in like a lot of big time animated shows.
Yeah,
These
like
writers.
if anyone is kind of like putting off this show just because it's supposed to be a kids show, like plenty of people have. These writers actually, I believe I heard this was that they've written for shows like Futurama, for Family Guy, so
Yeah, that was it.
they don't have like this just kiddish background of the I don't know I don't know the morning Nickelodeon cartoons. There, it's like trying to teach you stuff. They don't. They're not just stuck in kid mode throughout the whole story, if
Well,
at
I
Mhm.
all.
mean, they started with other shows like the Michael started on Family Guy and looks like he wrote like 13 episodes or something. Or no, he directed them or something. But he was involved with that show even before Airbender.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I wasn't sure if you were saying that he did it like after or before or whatever. But as I was
Yeah,
interested,
yeah,
it was
yeah,
before, like he did
yeah.
Family Guy
It was
and then Avatar. Like that's just a funny transition to make. Like there's just very crude adult humor show, and then like oh, Avatar, Last Airbender. But Airbender definitely doesn't shy away from serious topics
hmm
for a kid show, which is something that's cool.
but they do kind of hold back on like some of the things.
Oh,
They know
definitely.
they're on a kids network, but like they don't that didn't stop them from, like you said, approaching this more serious topics and more serious emotions that
Yeah, well, I mean,
adults
Yeah.
love.
especially near the end when oh, dang, now I'm blanking on her name. The evil bad chick,
Zula.
Azula.
Azula. Like when she like full. Well, I probably shouldn't say anything. But
Say what?
what happens to her at the end when like it's very like emotionally strong for like a kid show.
Oh
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like what
yeah,
happens to her, it's like so sad, but she's like terrible, but you feel bad for her at the same time.
That was
Like it was
scary.
yeah.
yeah, it's yeah, that part was really impressive. Like for a kids show to have something like that.
And this show like has made me cry too. The second group of episodes with Jet, like, ugh, when Toph just says he's
Oh
lying.
yeah. I
Yeah.
remember that.
Oh,
I don't know
like,
what you're talking about. I
yeah.
never cried during that show. What do you mean? I'm a man.
Yeah,
No, there were definitely parts that man.
I don't really cry during TV shows, but like when it hits me, I do have like this like nervous smile on my face, and I just kind of have a nervous laugh. And this show is one of the ones that made me do that a couple more than a couple times.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we kind of got away from summarizing a little there.
Yeah, who wants to
Which
do
which
that?
which getting
So,
people amped.
We talked
Well,
about.
it's a mix of cartoon and anime.
I already said
I'm
that.
just like reading. I know. I'm just like reading
Yeah, don't read
directly
my
off because
outline. That's
yeah, I
my
know.
outline.
Very quick version. Watch series first. Spoilers ahead. Oh, I'm not supposed to read that.
Actually, you're kind of supposed to. That's
Oh,
supposed to
okay.
be in it. Like that's supposed to say like if you haven't like watched Avatar, I think we should actually go into spoilers. But if
Mhm.
maybe you're still not convinced that it's really that good, and we're just kind of lying out of our whatever, that maybe if you actually hear what the story's about, you'll actually think about it.
mhm.
Well, maybe what we can do is we can talk about it generally and then say, here's the point where if you are going to watch it, stop listening and fast forward past this section if you don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Anyways, who wants to give a quick summary of it? Read my notes.
I think our special guest should have that honor.
All right, I can do that. All right, so so the Avatar storylines take place in this world divided up into four nations, which are devoted to different elements. There's fire, earth, uh, air, and water. And amongst all these elements, there one person who is reborn every generation, who is there to simply keep the peace, and he is a person who kind of has a tie to element as people from each nation. Some of them have the ability to control these elements. And this person who has a tie to each of these nations can control all the elements, and he's called the Avatar. Um, and then in The Last Airbender, it focuses in on a time when the Avatar has disappeared and the Fire Nation has launched an assault on the rest of the world. And then we kind of enter in 100 years later when the Avatar is rediscovered, uh, frozen in an iceberg, and then we get to follow his journey, um, learning to control the elements and um, kind of journeying on a quest to take down the Fire Nation and restore peace.
Yeah.
So,
Basically, the Avatar is a peacemaker to all the nations. Very good summary. I like it.
Very good.
yeah.
Although his airbending is great, he has a lot to learn.
Oh God.
I've just seen the introduction to the show so many times that I normally just fast forward it 'cause I'm like, I know, I get it.
yeah.
All four elements, yeah, he needs to learn them. Okay.
It's a cool intro though. I like
Oh
it.
no, it is, but I mean over however many episodes there
Yeah,
were,
I
it's
think there's
it gets a
61
little old.
episodes.
Yeah.
Okay, so the story isn't like the most profound, but what I think is my favorite part about this show is the characters. So, what is your guys' favorite character? Let's start with that.
Um, my favorite character doesn't come till season 2. Um,
Let's- Spoilers ahead. Go.
I mean, it's kind of obvious what's going to happen, but Toph,
Uh-huh.
she's just funny.
She's hilarious.
She's
Yeah.
that's the thing. The show for me, it's the characters and the humor.
Hmm.
The story is cool. It's genuinely good, but you could even take that away. And if you just had these characters, That would be enough of a show. Just these characters and the humor. You know what I mean?
They're all very defined. They don't like morph into like this androgynous group of people.
And they also don't. What I hate, and actually Buffy the Vampire Slayer again. Like, there's this one character. She just like, oh, I'm evil now, and then like becomes this bad like witch thing in the middle of it. And you're just like, wait, what? Whereas there are characters that make dramatic character shifts. You know, I'm not going to say for spoiler reasons, but the thing is, it's gradual. It like builds and builds and builds over all the seasons. So when that change does come, it's like it's really cool how it happens. But I like that the characters, they grow, but not in ways that are like, wait, what? That doesn't make sense with how they, like how what we've been told about this character so far. That
Mhm.
they don't really do anything out of character, except in some of the weird, like season 3 filler episodes. I feel like things
Yes,
go a little south.
season 3 was a
But
little weird.
yeah, season 3 is a little weird sometimes. But again, that wasn't them writing those episodes. They
Yeah.
were just writing the big story episodes, and those were like amazing. But yeah, all the filler ones were a little funky.
But like, even the filler ones to me were like, yeah, the story's a little weird. The fillers usually had some kind of meaning to it still. Like, it kind of filled in the characters, if anything. Like, filler usually in the sense of TV shows are just like, we need to put an episode out. But this one actually felt like they had a purpose for it, which is really nice because, like, I guess we can't really talk about it, but
yeah,
I'll get to that later.
But like the voice acting and the dialogue was enough to carry it, even if the story was lacking.
Exactly. That's why I say this is a character-driven TV
Yeah.
series by far. So, what about
Yeah.
you, Sean? Who's your favorite character?
Well, this is kind of generic, I feel like, but I love Zuko. You know, he
Yeah.
why is that
he
generic?
I don't know. I feel like if you look around, a ton of people seem to like him
He
a
probably had
lot.
the biggest arc of like.
Yeah, and that was the big thing. Like I'm a writer, personally. I'm hoping to be a writer. Actually, right now I'm just a poor person who has Microsoft Word, but
Nice.
Still a
yeah.
writer.
So, but like to see character development worked so perfectly, where every bit of it was believable, and you never knew exactly how he was going to end up,
Yeah, that's
even if you were pretty sure. And there were twists and stuff, but they were all believable, and they were all just perfect.
hmm
Yeah, I just loved Zuko.
Zuko is one of my favorite character transformations of any show. Like, he's
Yeah.
not my favorite character, but like of character transformations, his was amazing because it wasn't just like, oh, and now I'm a goody goody all of a sudden. You know what I mean? It's not like that. It was like he
Wait, he
would go
becomes a
back and
good
forth.
guy?
No,
Okay.
he actually kills Aang at the end. Um, just the way his character would kind of go back and forth, kind of how in real life, how it's not so black and white. It's not like, oh, now I'm going opposite direction. It's not usually like that. It's like you kind of like, well, maybe, but then you kind of go back to your old self a little bit, and then go kind of you're not sure. So that inner conflict
Yeah,
with
Yeah.
him
they
was
took
just
time.
perfect. Yeah, and they did it over 3 seasons. They didn't just like wait till the last episode and like, oh, let's do that whole thing in one episode, like a lot of shows do. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
when I was rewatching the series before Legend of Korra, this is kind of spoilerish, but you actually realize that Zuko is mostly bad for only season 1. Season 2 and season 3 is his full transformation, and season 1 is really the only one where he's like, yeah, like he's the obvious bad guy,
Yeah.
and then it
Well,
transfers to someone else and moves on.
yeah.
I
Well,
feel
but
like
and
even
sorry.
then he was, even then he was like growing and like trying to figure out who he was independently.
Yeah,
Like, because before then, he still had that hope of like, all I got to do is catch the Avatar and I'm set.
restore my honor.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. He was never evil like his sister. He
hmm
was
Mhm.
just in this environment that pointed him a certain direction. He moved that direction, and as he was moving that direction, he figured out that oh, I've been going the wrong direction. You know what I mean? There's a difference between that and being like, oh, there's the evil direction. I'm walking down that path and never turning around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's just how we grew up. Like that's what he learned was right, and what he was kind of taught as a kid.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, for my favorite character, it's actually kind of a combination of you both. The first
Combination?
well, let me explain.
Zukatov.
When I
That's a
first
new character
watched,
I'm making.
okay, whatever.
Just kidding.
When I first watched, it was Toph. My favorite character was Toph, and she's still my favorite character as like she's funny. I just love how I love her like power, not like I don't know how to describe it, but
She's
how
gruff.
she no, not necessarily that, but like how she approaches bending, I guess you can say. How like she's supposedly like a master bender but still being a child, and of course her being blind and all that kind of stuff, and then when she does her new thing, like I just liked her evolution of her fighting style.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
after rewatching it, it was definitely Zuko's character arc that I really started to like, and we already explained both of them. So.
Yeah.
I think like Toph was also pretty cool. Like her development was pretty quick. Like within the first couple episodes, really.
Yeah,
But it was still entertaining.
she probably had actually the smallest like character formation. She was kind of herself the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, and with her character, she's not as complicated as some of the other characters. You know what I mean? Like, you don't need to spend that much time with her because she's not into long conversations about her emotions. She's pretty straightforward. I mean, she does have those moments and they show those, but that's pretty much it. Like, if you did more episodes, it'd be just her. What would you do? Like,
She doesn't hide her
she doesn't
feelings.
exactly. She doesn't really need that. Like some of the Katara, like you could spend, a lot of time
The
with her
whole
emotions.
series.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Katara.
Glad they didn't, but someone has a text.
Yeah. What can I say? I'm a popular guy.
I'm not.
Oh.
Here, Corey, I'm gonna text you.
Thanks.
Katara actually, I thought she like went from kind of a friendly but motherly figure. She got really dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Mm-hmm.
she was ready to mess some people's shit up. And
Well, yeah. Just don't say exactly what she learns, but oh
yeah.
man, yeah. And that's the other thing. What she learns, that's dark for a kids show.
I love that.
Like that was like when I first saw that episode, I was like, no way, that is awesome. Like I wonder if they'll continue that thread
Oh yeah, it'll be interesting.
because I don't want to say anymore.
Okay,
But
well let's move on.
yeah,
This is another question I always like kind of thinking of. What is your like if you guys were in that world, which nation would you want to be part of? Like let's say which bending you
or
would.
there's non-bending could be an option too. No, I'm
I wonder
serious
if you-
because that's something the new show talks about is there's these non-benders in the world.
Oh, anti-benders.
Well, not necessarily anti. The whole reason anti-bending started was because some people cannot bend and feel like they're forced into subjection because they're like this lower class.
Oh, but would you want to be that?
No, I'm just saying that is an option. I'm
Yeah,
not
okay.
saying,
Yeah.
I was just saying, technically speaking, that you wouldn't have.
There are non-benders
like,
in the Avatar world.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like in Star Wars. Not everyone knows how to use the Force. Anyways.
I would definitely take bending though. I'd go for water bending. I mean, the stuff you can do with that is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
I think my favorite thing they do with water bending is when they're falling from a great height and they have the water come up and work as like a, I don't know what you call that, like a thing that just dampens their impact. It like grabs them in the air and then pulls them in the water. Like every time they do that, I'm just like, oh, that is so awesome. Like,
I think I actually made a note of that in the episode.
Oh,
outline.
really? Because I noticed that they did that they've done it both in Korra and in Airbender.
Yeah, I think they did Aang on the very last fight, and then Korra was in the
Mhm.
second episode, I think, or first episode maybe. No,
Yeah,
second.
when she jumps off the cliff to get to
I
the.
Yeah,
The Korra thing, I think of that as like one episode in my mind because I just kind of like
I know.
watch both of them together, So that's why watching the regular 20-minute ones are going to be like, wait, that no, it's more,
Yeah.
more.
Although we'll get to that later, but I'll just say that I'm surprised on how much they can put into 20 minutes.
Oh, I was
Oh yeah,
shocked.
Like,
a good.
oh yeah, I was rewatching it, for this whole podcast, and like I was only watching for an hour or 40 minutes or whatever because skip the commercials, but I was surprised. Like I felt like I was there for like a whole movie almost. It's
Hmm.
Yeah,
just because it's filled with so many things.
that's the thing. A good script moves. Like all the stuff I've been reading, it's like so many people don't get that you don't need to meander. Just boom, boom, do stuff, get move, and they are so good at that, at not dwelling on things that are not interesting. It's like why linger on something that's not interesting? Just move it. That doesn't mean it has to be constant action. It just has to be constantly interesting.
Yeah, they move, but yet still develop.
Exactly. Like yeah, they're very very good at that.
So what was
What bending did you want, Ryan?
I agree with water mostly because yeah, I mean yeah, I just think water is the most interesting in terms of like skill wise, and I can get into deep. I don't want to.
Yeah. No, I that's a tough one for me because water is really cool, but like flying,
I'm not a big
like
flyer.
see, like that would just be cool. And for me, actually, the thing, the
I want to be a swamp monster.
nice, the similarities between air and water is that they're if you see Aang when he's using those are very defensive. Actually, you know what? They're all defensive against except fire, pretty much. Like
Kind of.
rock, it's always about throwing up a rock barrier. With water, she's always splashing it to deflect flames. Air is always pushing the flames away. Whereas fire, you're
Well,
just
I'm,
throwing fire at them. You know what I mean?
that might also be because fire is the enemy in the first one. They're always
Yeah, yeah,
attacking.
that's a good point. But I mean, you can't really attack with water is as much. You can't. You can do the spikes. You know what I mean? But with fire, pretty much all you're going to do with fire is attack.
Well, most of Earthbending was also kind of attacking, except for with Toph, who had to like wait to react.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
love
Yeah,
that.
earth bending is also can be aggressive, but also can create like the best barrier.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would go with air.
Oh,
Necessarily.
oh.
Can I just be an avatar and have all of them?
No. So
All
I
right.
asked my parents this is like the exact same question of would you want to like move and control water or which of the four elements? And the craziest thing I never thought of was my mom said airbending, and she's like, technically you could kind of make them suffocate, right? Make like a vacuum from their in front of their face. I'm like, what?
Creepy.
That sounds so cool, but from
Just wait till
you?
Korra episode 6.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
I,
well, actually, that's something I thought about when they created so, are we in spoiler area yet,
yeah.
or
Let's move on to spoiler.
all right? Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! There we
Okay.
go. Very dramatic. The
if you're
part where
still
they're
listening, you're done. You're
yeah.
done for.
Quick note: the rest of the podcast does contain spoilers.
The part where they're sneaking into the Fire Nation, like under their fire fence gate thingy, when they created the air things,
The air
like
bubble.
around
Yeah.
Appa specifically. Like it was like what I was thinking is like, is there really enough air in that little bubble to stay underwater that long? You know what I mean? So the same idea, like if they created a small space, that means that there would be no air recirculating in there.
Hmm.
So if you put it right around their head, then yeah, they would suffocate quickly. You wouldn't even need a vacuum necessarily because they would pollute their own air, after like a breath, you know?
Yeah.
I think that might be why they had such like a limited amount of airbenders, like in both series, because in the Last Airbender there's only Aang, and then there's just a few in Legend of Korra, so like they don't have the same corruption of living together in a city that you see in all the other elements, where they don't as much stick to the behaviors that we would attribute to them.
Hmm.
So,
Right.
like, the airbenders can stay very existential and um, kind of out of the world.
Right.
That
You know what?
makes
That's Aang's kids.
Yeah.
We want to talk about that, or where are we in the?
Let's get to let's talk about Avatar first, or the first
Oh,
one.
that's true. We're talking about that.
Then we'll go
Okay.
to Legend of Korra.
All right.
Well, I guess since we kind of beat around the bush on the bending styles, but maybe we should explain that each element kind of had an evolution to another element, like how Toph learned how to metal bend, even because there's
Mm,
earth in the metal, and then water. Of course, the one that we all talked about was water into blood bending,
Yeah.
which is
mhm.
so. When I saw that, I'm like, that is so creepy, but so cool.
That's such
Exactly.
an adult theme. That's exactly what we were talking
Exactly.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does air have?
Uh,
Fire has lightning, and we said the other two, and air has nothing.
Yeah.
well, maybe it controls like noxious gas too. Like, are we
Uh,
limited to oxygen?
well, and that's when you talk about air. There's moisture in the air, so is that water bending too? You know what I mean? Like when he's moving clouds, like there's all sorts of sort of areas where it's like what exactly falls under the air category. You know what I mean?
I guess air kind of had the most, like, he can do it at any time, basically.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah,
fire
you
bending,
don't
if
need a supply of water.
water needed some water. Earth, of course had like it had trouble against metal bending until it learned metal. Or no, earth bending struggled against wood, right? That's when the Toph got captured with Katara in season.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I was confused when they were in was it Bossing Say?
Mm-hmm.
And they were in a wood paneled house and she was walking around like normal. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, Toph.
You shouldn't be able to see right now.
Yeah, Toph's a bit like actually put on here. There's a couple of instances where like they kind of describe it in her first, revealing of like, because earthbending is mostly pick up a rock and throw it. So how does
Right.
Toph see that exactly? Like, I mean, I guess,
I mean, it's you have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief on
yeah.
her character with her actual bending because there's no way a human foot could perceive
I
vibrations that far away.
don't know. I can read the whole world with my feet.
No. Like I understand the concept. It's the same as like sonar almost,
Yeah,
Except with
like
sonar what you do is you send out a sound and then when it bounces
bounces.
back to
Yeah.
you, you read that information with your brain. So it doesn't have that part of it. So she has some very sensitive feet.
I
And
mean,
also there's some things where it's like some things are in the air and she sees them and things
yeah.
like that, you know what I mean? So it's like you can't think about that part of it too carefully because it does break down a little.
I think the
I
whole.
always oh
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I always figured that like the only things she ever saw in the air were things that people who were touching the ground were sending at her. So I
Yeah.
figured it was like some kind of knowledge of what the motion of the person she could see was doing. Like if someone punches forward and they're like 20 yards away from you, they're probably not actually trying to hit you with their fist.
Right.
So, block.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I mean, they definitely tried showing that because if you remember from the fight where she's fighting all of the enemies, one of them is where the guy puts his hand into the ground and then she can instantly see that kind of thing. It's
Hmm.
definitely the motion of how it works.
Yeah. And it's cool how they do like the what do you call it? The view where it shows that like graph pattern rolling over everything in the environment, kind of like her
Hmm.
scanning it.
Yeah.
I like how Aang kind of learns that in the end. I think he learned it. I can't
Well,
remember.
that was the point of him uh learning from her.
Yeah.
That's why Boomy didn't teach him
Hmm.
because he needed someone like her. Well, yeah, he used that.
He's in the ending, last fight.
Yeah, well, he pretty much used everything ending, including getting poked in the back randomly. Like he got poked in the back, so now I have my avatar powers. That was my only, not issue with it, but just like, really, I don't know. It just seemed that was the weakest plot point. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Of just getting, oh, I got poked in the back where I got hurt
yeah.
before, so
Actually,
now I have my avatar
Yeah.
powers back
yeah.
randomly.
When I
The
watched it
very
at
end,
first,
it's like,
I'm like, wait, how did he control the avatar state? And then I watched a commentary, and they're like, oh yeah, the poke in the back, released the chakra.
yeah,
And I'm like, oh,
exactly.
okay, I guess so. Whatever.
Exactly. It's like it's not terrible, but it's like it feels a little cheap. Like I
Yeah.
you were at least I was expecting something earlier to happen in the show, like substantial to make that change.
Hmm.
Okay.
But yeah.
I want to, since we're talking about the ending, I want to talk about how Fire Lord Ozai didn't die. Now, I'm okay with Aang taking away his bending, but I
Mhm.
absolutely hated that he learned that basically in episode, I think it was 18 or 19
Yeah.
of the
No,
third
that
season.
same episode,
No,
wasn't it?
it was in before. The fight took like 2 episodes, and he
Oh,
learned
that's true.
the
Yeah,
episode
Yeah.
and
before that.
that's I treat that the same way as the back poking thing. It's like it felt tacked on at the end. Like, oh, we haven't explained that yet. This turtle touches him on the nose, and then he knows
Yeah,
how to take bending away now. Like, what? So if he hadn't randomly found that turtle, then the world would have been destroyed.
I wish like because he had a lot of flashbacks to yeah, the monk Yatso or whatever. I
Hmm.
wish there was like maybe like it didn't have to even talk about him learning how to do it, but talking about how like there's no bending, like you don't necessarily not everyone has bending or whatever, or there was a world before bending. I think that was the turtles story or whatever. I wish it just had something that talked about it beforehand. It came out
Right.
of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. They call that like a Deus Ex Machina kind of thing, where it's like there's this like lingering plot point, and then the hand reaches down and like and changes the story. Like, wait, where did that come
Yeah.
from? You know what I mean? Like, like I always remember like this one Twilight Zone episode where it's people are in this little like abandoned town trying to figure out what's going on, and then literally a hand reaches down from the sky and picks them up, and that's the end. Like it's that kind of ending. Like really, a hand reached down from the sky and picked them up. That's the story. Okay, it just feels a little cheap, because it's not even like hinted at. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? That's the
yeah,
thing.
exactly.
If it was at least like
Any bit of foreshadow in the
yeah,
previous
exactly,
episode.
foreshadowing or something like just so you can at least look back and be like, oh, I see the pieces of that coming together over time.
Well, I actually
Um,
thought there was like, and I've kind of discussed this a little with Ryan um, when you brought this up before.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like the idea of light bending is actually just heavily connected to the idea of the spirits and the spirit world. Because light bending is the bending of pure energy, which is what the spirits are. So I feel like what Aang was learning about the spirit world, like up until then, was kind of a prelude, sort of, and um, and kind of why he was so adept at it was because he was so um, in he was so in the
Into it.
loop when it came to spiritual stuff.
Hmm.
And I actually think that's gonna like it was kind of abrupt. I'm not gonna say it wasn't, but I think like that was leading up to that, and then I think that's going to continue actually in the Legend of Korra. Um, I'm kind of jumping ahead, but I think like through her learning spiritual stuff from Tenzin, like she was talking with Tenzin, Avatar, Aang's son. Um, she was talking about how he's like the king of spiritual stuff, and that's what she needs to get in touch with. And so I think
Yeah.
the journey for her is not only to master airbending, but to get into touch with the spiritual side that will allow like the second book of this new series. I think it's going to be the Book of Light,
Oh,
and
maybe
yeah,
that's actually a good.
but
so
but that doesn't really explain what we're more talking about is how he learned how to take away bending. You
Yeah.
know, like that turtle, like he's on this place, he wanders out under the turtle, and then when it comes back up, it gives him the power to take it away. So like my point is like if he just not been at that place, then he never would have learned that. It just seems.
Well, I mean, that could be with anything.
Yeah, no, I understand, but that part especially just was felt more random because he didn't plan on learning that. With everything else, it was planned and he was searching. It would be different if he was like, oh, he was searching for a way to take away the bending power and found the turtle, or I don't know, something. If that was the one part that felt the strangest to me, even more so than the back poking thingy. Because at least that one is like, oh, there is that he was in the Avatar state and he was wounded there, so whatever that reactivated it because it's that I don't know. I don't know.
Okay, I got one more complaint though about the ending.
All
So
right.
How
another
dare you?
another part of it was Aang was afraid of having to kill him, right? That's why the whole light bending and taking away his power came into play, right?
Right,
Because he didn't want to kill him.
Mhm.
right.
So why is it that in the attack, I think it's mid season 3, he was completely ready. Like his problem was just that he wasn't afraid that he wasn't ready. How come there was nothing about like, oh, I don't want to kill him? It felt like, because to me, it felt like it's definitely in his nature. It definitely doesn't seem out of nature of Aang, but I do feel like they brought up that specific idea at the end as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
well,
it's
actually, when they went into the first time when they were going into the capital city, did Zuko say, "Are you ready to kill him?" or something?
no, that
I think
was
that was.
No, that was before Zuko was with them when they originally went.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
yeah,
so you are right then. Then they
that
they
was during the what you
that
call it,
was when he
eclipse.
was getting ready to change sides.
I think since
He
it was
was
during
like,
the eclipse, he thought he'd just like walk in and I don't know,
Yeah,
lock him up.
I guess maybe
yeah,
that was my only other problem with the ending is that I mean it definitely makes sense for Aang not to want to kill him. I
Hmm.
mean he is a vegetarian. He didn't like killing any animals. He had two pets, but during the attack, like because they had that whole weird episode of him having dreams, right?
Yeah.
right,
Like his funny dreams.
Oh,
He had
that
no
was a
pants.
bad episode.
yeah,
But what I wish was like if they just put it right at the end, like the last episode where he beats him, and then maybe he's standing over him, and then he can't kill him or something, like some kind of foreshadowing
Hmm.
ability.
I think part of it might be that he never really got that close to actually fighting him, so he
They
never um, really not they didn't think about it that like when he got to the end he was like, oh no, this is really happening now, like right now. So it was more
yeah, I guess.
apparent to him. You know what I mean? I'm not saying that's a good excuse. I'm just saying that might be part of it. It's before he, they were there, but like he didn't even like confront him at all. And whereas when the other one comes, it's pretty much like he's gonna have to fight him now, or the world gets destroyed. You know what I mean? With the comet coming, so it's pretty much like this is like the very last time. It's now or nothing. Whereas before it was now, but we could potentially have another time.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So that there is that slight difference, but I know what you're saying.
Uh, there's another one I think. Oh, it was. This is kind of relating to like
We're
toss
trying to
ability.
get people to watch the shows. We're like just
Well,
saying.
we gotta talk
I
about both.
know, I know, I know. I'm just kidding.
Um, and this is all season 3 if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, exactly.
But the blood bending, right? When she learns it from that other water tribe person,
Yeah.
it was supposed to be because it was during a full moon, right?
Yeah.
How come she can use it when she was trying to get revenge for her mother?
There was a full moon. They showed it
Was it a
in
full
the
moon?
window, yeah,
Okay,
of the ship.
I guess.
Yeah, Ryan, weren't you paying attention to the window?
You have no idea how many times I've watched this show. I pay attention to these things.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
How many times have you guys watched it? Like completely?
twice for me.
Yeah,
I go through it all every couple months.
Whoa,
Yeah,
you're a real Avatar fan.
I own all the episodes, and
I don't
yeah.
own it on DVD yet. It's just because it's on Netflix. Well, when I first watched it, it was on Netflix, and
Mhm.
then it went away. They took it off Netflix and then put it back. So pretty much my watching depends on if it's up there or not. I think I've watched. I think I've just seen it. You know what? No. I think I've seen it 3 times. Yeah, I think
Look
I
at you
actually have
guys.
seen it 3 times. But
Well, look at you guys more than me.
we're bigger Avatar fans than you are.
Hey, I own the DVDs now, so.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at them. Is the commentary worth it? Because I mean, I can watch them on Netflix for free. Well,
Well,
with my Netflix account. So, is that commentary worth having the DVD set?
I really think so. Yes.
I
Like,
Okay.
enjoyed it.
huh?
I enjoyed it.
Yeah,
That's,
like, cause I mean, you guys both said that you guys are like kind of inspiring writers, right?
mhm.
Inspiring.
Well, I don't know how
I'm just kidding.
Aspiring.
aspiring. See, I'm not a writer, even though I kind of like writing. Anyway, so I'm actually kind of the same as you guys. I'm not great at words, but uh,
Hey,
what they talk. What?
you said I'm like you guys. I'm not great with words.
No, I'm not as great as with words.
I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Anyways,
Continue.
the commentary actually, it seems like they kind of explain what they were thinking, and you know, if you like their writing, it's probably definitely a good idea to check it out.
Okay. Yeah, just a lot of DVD sets I've purchased for shows are usually pretty dry on
I know what you mean.
the except like Lost had I think a good chunk of actual s- bonus content there.
Mhm.
But some shows it's like, oh, there's not even commentary. There's just like, here's some trailers for other shows, and like, really?
Yeah, the Avatar one definitely concentrates. They actually concentrate on the actual story or how they were working on it. Sometimes like commentaries kind of concentrate on production, I guess you can say. Like
Hmm.
I've been listening to the site commentary, audio commentary too, and they sometimes have this they talk about how they wrote the episode and all that, but a lot of times they'll talk about how this actor messed up here, or this actor likes to do this, and how this scene went. But Avatar
That's
definitely
cool.
isn't quite like that. It's much more focused on like, so this is why we did this, and we like this part and kind of stuff like that.
Well, I think with when the actors are just talking, there's probably not as much of that. You know what I mean? Whereas if it's a live action show, then there probably would be more focus on the actors.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because not there's more personality to the actors because like with animated stuff, it's a lot of it is the animator putting the personality there. Like the
Not
voice
to
acting
take
is
away from the
important.
voice acting. Yeah, that.
No, exactly. But when someone's doing live action, they're doing both. Whereas if you're just doing voice, you're just doing the voice, which is very important. But then like having good animation, because good
Yeah.
animation, you could like think about the opening sequence to Up. There's like no talking,
hmm
but it conveys a really engaging. Like I actually don't like Up, but I like the opening sequence to Up, because like in 10 minutes,
Emo kid.
it gives you this. What'd you say?
Nothing. Go ahead.
Jerk. Um, it gives you this whole story, and you get really emotionally invested in these two characters. There's this stupid picture that goes around of like, Up told a better love story in 10 minutes than all not all the avatars, all of the Twilight films put together. And it's really true. Like and that's without words. The same with Wally. Like the relationship between the two robots. They never talk.
Wally.
He's like they never talk except for Wally, like
Wally.
but I mean I really like Wally and no one even talks. It's all conveyed through just them how they move and little bleep bloop noises they make. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
can convey a
Yeah.
lot through movement.
That's actually why. That's actually why I really love animation actually, and I really get disgusted when people go, "No, I'm not really into animation." I'm like, why?
Exactly.
It can convey so much more emotion because it's. I don't know if you guys heard, but like it's always about the perception and not reality. So like, when someone's angry in real life, they're probably just gonna pout in the corner or something like that. But in the animation, they'll have like steam bubbles coming out and they'll start chomping around, and it's like that really conveys anger compared to how real anger is uh, portrayed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And animation can do that so much easier because they can add in so many different things into it.
You can go overboard with that stuff though.
Oh
Like a
yeah,
lot of like traditional, not traditional, but like a lot of people think Last Airbender is anime. It's not. It's anime like.
it's
It
basically.
has anime elements, but like a real anime is way more into the weird, exaggerated um, uh, emoticon or whatever you want to call it that the characters do. Like in
Emoticons.
whatever.
They just pop up like a smiley face.
Shut up. Like in Full Metal Alchemist. It's probably my favorite anime just because again it's more of a tame anime in the world of animes. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? Like in the way that it shows that kind of stuff. But even in that one, like it's weird. You'll have the art style of the show, and then when they get really angry, all of the lines of the character will be super simplified. It'll look like in like just some really simple Illustrator drawing or something. All of a sudden, they'll just be like everything's all weird and droopy on their face. You know what I mean? That sort of like real anime will do some of those just weird, extremely exaggerated stuff to show emotion.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely a lot of different anime.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that though.
What, this is an anime cast?
No, this is a mix of anime and cartoon.
Nice. Well, I think technically speaking, it's supposed to be from a certain place, so it's anime if you want to. But like, I don't get into that whole.
It's a Korean animation studio that does it.
Right.
I
But
don't
I
know
mean,
if
but
you
it's
get
like
it.
American produced and stuff. But whatever. I don't want to get into the whole manga, anime. Like, yeah, I'm not into that whole scene personally.
So, is there anything else you guys want to discuss about the first series? Maybe we go into Zuko or Aang or anyone else.
Well, you should read my Zuko Katara fan fiction.
Oh.
It's really good.
Okay, read it
I'm
for us.
just kidding.
Give us a passage.
Oh,
Page.
they sat on
It's
the
probably just a
bridge.
sex scene, isn't it?
They had sex.
Yeah,
Not very descriptive,
that's
but
the
it.
whole scene description. No, they were on the bridge of the Fire Navy ship, looking out at the beautiful ocean as they hold each other's hands and look out. I don't know. Right, you continue if you want to. Right, I'm done with this story.
They could. I forgot what they like. I was listening to audio commentary. They actually talked about. They're like. What is it? Zatara's. You know how they mix names when they like
Yeah.
they want the couple. They mix.
Oh
There's
man,
the
I hate that so
Kataros.
much.
There's
Oh,
already a Makora.
Oh my gosh,
oh
that's probably
man.
gonna happen though.
Well, yeah.
Who did Toph end up with?
We don't know.
I thought she was gonna be with the Duke, uh, the
Oh
the
yeah,
little guy, because
Oh,
he let her use his helmet to barf in, and then like at the end they were chilling next to each other.
yeah. The end scene
oh
had them
dang.
hugging. I
Yeah,
think.
you're not reading into it too much or anything. No, I'm just kidding.
There's
There
no.
was a
Oh
sex
no.
scene later that night.
Wow.
Actually,
Those
it was
11-year
Toph,
olds.
Zuko, and their kids are Mako and Bolin. I'm just kidding.
Nice.
It would actually fit. They're both Earth and Air
I
Firebenders.
mean, that's my main. Okay, like before I even was this before I knew about Korra? Actually, this was probably when I heard the announcement that they were going to make a sequel show.
Hmm.
My first thought was, what exactly does sorry, I was just reading the chat
Let's
thing.
go. Let's go.
What exactly wait, sorry. Now I remember what I was gonna say. Aang and Katara. Like what their children, what power should their children have? Is it possible to have some of them have water and then air, or is it all of them? Can it be any because he's Avatar? So, like, can their children be any of the elements, or only water and air because those were there too? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
they answered it because they have one of each basically.
No, I know exactly, and that. But what I was saying when the show was announced, I was like, I wonder
Yeah, I know what
that
you mean.
works, and that's sort of weird that the Avatar can then just have any of the elements. It just seems kind of weird. But then, does that mean once their kid is that they're locked into that at that point?
I don't know.
I think we're getting into like genetics, like
Yeah.
where
No,
the
I know.
recessive gene
Yeah,
is. I
exactly.
don't,
That's the kind of stuff I like thinking about shows. Like, well, let's think about like where like I don't know. I find that stuff interesting.
Yeah,
the
I'd love.
avatar gene.
Exactly. Like that is interesting, and they've thought about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like they've definitely thought about that since they did address kind of well, did they? Because I mean, they named them after the different like Boomy and the other one, but does that mean that Boomy was an Earthbender, or are we just assuming that
He was a non-bender
Yeah,
according
he's
to
supposed to be a
the
non-bender. Yeah.
chart.
the chart?
Yeah,
They
the Flash
released
agenda.
like a family tree.
Oh, I didn't know that was an official one. I just saw some chart around. I figured it was just like some weird fan made one, like I've seen with Harry Potter.
I think that's the real one.
Oh, okay, interesting.
Um. Oh crap! What was I gonna ask? Oh yeah. No. Was that it? Crap. Oh, the Avatar. How is the next Avatar chosen? Do you guys know? Is it just like the next born kid after the Avatar dies?
I guess if like the mother's lucky enough to pump it out like at the exact
Is that it?
moment that
Because
Aang dies. I don't know.
that's how they showed it with Avatar Roku and Aang, right?
Yeah.
Like as he died, they showed a scene of Aang crying. Well,
Hmm.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean that it happens right that second. That's just for convenience of the show. You know what I mean?
suppose.
Um, yeah, that's interesting. Well, I did think it was interesting how because wait, is Katara? See, I should probably look at this chart before I say anything. It sounds stupid, but I'll say it anyways. Is she somehow related to Aang, or
Katara?
is Katara,
No,
or is she just Water Tribe?
Or
She's
do you
just
mean
some random
Korra?
water. Sorry, Korra.
No, Korra's not
Now I
related.
sounded very dumb.
Korra is just Aang, basically. Well, the reincarnation
Well,
of.
yeah, but she was still born from parents.
Yeah. The parents have
But
nothing to do with Aang.
okay, that's what I was a little confused
Or at
about.
least I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Okay,
The only connection that that family has then is that Korra is the reincarnation of all the
okay.
past
But
lives
Katara was in the same tribe as her, right?
yeah.
of Korra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was the Southern Water Tribe.
I think that was what was the weird thing to me, like the close proximity of those characters.
I
It
think that
seemed
just
like before it was broader. You know what I mean? Like a Fire Nation dude versus an Air dude. Like they're not going to be even in the same general location of Earth. You know what I mean?
no.
No.
Okay.
What did you mean? I think that was just
No, no.
kind of
What
on
I'm saying is,
accident.
like Roku was in the Fire Nation,
Yeah,
and then Aang was born up in the Air Temple area.
yeah.
Whereas
Well, he
Katara, who
was
was
in the Eastern
married,
Air Temple, right?
I don't remember.
yeah, but they were still on a different continent. Whereas like they were Katara and Korra were in the same village.
Well, that's just because they had water. That's
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm saying. I was saying, but that's sort of interesting, the close proximity there, and they probably did that for connecting the series better. If it started out and she was in like a totally different place from Katara, then it would have been hard to have her in that. You know what I mean? Have her fly down. I don't know.
are they from the same tribe?
They're
I
from the
thought they
same
were.
tribe, the General South, but I don't think like that tribe that they showed at the beginning of the Last Airbender was like the last village. I
Okay,
think there were others.
because it seemed like when Tenzin was flying in, that seemed like the north. I guess they probably moved her up or what, or I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter either
She's
way.
from
I'm
Water
just
Tribe. That's all.
yeah. She's Water Tribe.
Well, I guess we can talk about like since we're into spoilers and we kind of avoid like we can talk about maybe some of the character arcs, because we did talk about how Katara went from motherly and loving and taking care of Aang and Sokka to probably one of the dark, like even the writers talked about how Katara was probably the second darkest character after Azula,
Hmm.
or maybe
Yeah.
Ozai. I don't know which one's darker. Probably Azula's darker, right?
Well,
But
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Ozai is just the evil emperor guy.
she's just pure evil. I mean, it was
Azula,
almost Azula. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, I mean, near the end, you sort of see a human side to her, but she's still evil. You know
Azula,
what I mean? Just because she's human doesn't mean it's like okay. I mean, because you do see like, oh, she's sort of angry that her mother thought she was a monster,
Hmm.
but that didn't change her action. You know what I mean? It just made her even more angry and crazy.
yeah. Azula definitely actually had a really interesting character arc too, or like even lack of character arc. It's
Yeah.
kind of like it's this weird arc of there's so many moments where she can go up or down, but she
Hmm.
just stayed in that straight line.
Yeah, well, and I think again, like, you can't really spend a lot of time with her trying to develop her character because she's pretty straightforward. She's a very determined, and she knows exactly what she's doing, and she's not going to shift from that. You know what I mean? So it's like Toph, like you can spend a lot of time with her, you're going to see she's pretty much going down a straight line. You know, that's the difference between her and Zuko.
Well, I
You know
think
what
a
I
big
mean?
part of her was like she did change a lot, and the difference was like she really thought she knew what she was doing. You know, back when
Yeah,
she was like the princess and in the Fire Nation, and then she got out in the world, and like people started ditching her, and things didn't
Well,
work out exactly
yeah.
how she wanted them to.
I
that's
mean, her only real change was that she just like went completely insane.
she finally lost
I
it.
mean,
Yeah, she
yeah,
was like straight line, and then she went straight down.
yeah.
She fell
Which
off
I
the
mean
cliff.
is pretty that personality type is likely to do that. You know what I mean?
Psychopath,
And yeah, exactly. A psychopath is. I
sociopath. I
mean,
don't remember which one it's called.
yeah,
She was a psycho.
yeah. She
Yeah, I
was
guess.
like,
Yeah, that's.
but that scene when she's chained to the ground and just screaming,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
oh, part was terrible. Like the whole time you just like are rooting for her to go down, and then like when she does, you're just like, oh, I feel bad for her now. They're amazing that they can make you feel bad for
Yeah,
this just like terrible, terrible girl. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like, oh, but like, yeah, she deserves it, but I still feel
she's just
terrible.
this pitiful thing now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, oh man, yeah, that part. I don't know if I cried in that part, but like, it was
It,
close. I
yeah.
mean, it was intense.
what
Like,
did they do with Azula?
and that's one of the other questions that you're
Because
like
Oz, they show. Yeah, they
Zuko's
show.
mother, Azula, like those are the two big questions for me. Like,
Cause yeah, they show Ozai in the prison, but then there's nothing about Azula.
Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's on purpose.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I mean, what could they really do with that character at that point? I mean,
Yeah, I guess that's like such a high point of the
yeah, I mean, what it would
story
just
for
make it
her.
worse just to show her like in a prison cell sitting there. You know what I mean? What are they gonna do
Hmm.
with that? She's
And
just rotting in a cell somewhere.
yeah, since
I
they
mean,
already did
really.
with Ozai too, it's like they both have
Yeah,
the exact same look. It'd be funny though.
yeah, exactly. And what conversations go on? She's completely insane now. It's just gonna be her screaming. You know, it's like there's nothing you can really.
Yeah.
We all know what happened to her. She was rotting in a prison cell. You know what I mean? It's like there's no reason to go dwell on that. You know what I mean?
I suppose.
Unless she just got away somehow. But again, then this late, this much in the future, that just means okay, we're dealing with her insane children now or something, you know?
Yeah.
But although we kind of saw that she can't really form a relationship with the guy.
Yeah, like that's remember the beach episode was definitely a filler, but
Hmm.
you still kind of got a little more into the characters of, especially like May, sorry, and
Yeah.
Tylee. Like they had no background really at all until that
Yeah.
episode.
One of my favorite moments is when they turn on Azula. That's
Yeah,
probably that was just really
Yeah.
one part when I was just like, yes, yes, finally, you step up and don't just live in fear of this girl that You know, you could tell that they didn't really want to do that. I mean, May just didn't want to do it because she's just like, she's just apathetic to everything. But then she didn't really want to hurt anyone. You know, she just did the little like, poke them so they can't move around. She didn't want to actually hurt anyone. She was just doing it because she was terrified of Azula. You know.
Yeah.
I think May had one of the coolest lines when she betrayed Azula. Not coolest, but one of the best lines in my opinion. I can't
When
remember.
she was like, face it, I love Zuko more than I fear you.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Just, that was like, like it was, if they had like a little animation and sound effect, it would be like a lightning bolt through Azula's head or whatever, and like a
Yeah.
ding, or like a crackling sound.
Oh
And
no!
that's
I'm
because that's when
glad
she
they
snapped.
didn't do that.
I know, but that's when you knew she, like, that's when Azula started going downhill. Like,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
she realized she doesn't have control over all this stuff.
That episode also had like the coolest Azula line when like she tells the guy that the prison guard they were accusing was telling the truth, and he asks her why she knows, and she's like, because I'm a people person.
Yeah,
That like
that was
freaked
really
me out.
yeah. That was pretty good,
Yeah.
man.
Someone we haven't talked about, Sokka. How do you guys feel about him?
I mean, he's the comic relief.
Yeah. He
But
learned how to use the sword really fast.
yeah,
That was impressive. That was like a
and,
day.
but the thing is, you could take him out of the story, and they would still defeat
I disagree.
Fire Lord.
I felt like that in the first one, but I like
First
again
one? You mean the first season?
the first watching of it.
Oh, okay.
You actually kind of realize that Sokka is definitely the character or comedic relief for the first season, but for the second and third season, that actually kind of moves to Toph a little bit more often. And I like rewatching the whole series. I actually thought Sokka had some really interesting uh, character arc as well, in that he kind of struggles with being the main, like the oldest, and like he's always been like he felt that he always had to be the leader, and it's not as dramatic as like the other ones, but I thought it was actually kind of interesting.
Yeah. No, that's not what I meant. Like he's an interesting character. What I mean is like, and they even kind of address this. Like he doesn't, he eventually learns how to fight with the sword, and that helps a little bit. But I mean, really,
Yeah, he
he
can't.
didn't add that much to actually defeating the Fire Lord. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was there to kind of help them figure out where to go with the map stuff. But I mean, he usually wasn't even that good at it. I mean, what he's a great character, and I love the development of him. What I mean is like Katara was more important to Aang getting to Fire Lord and fighting him. You know what I mean?
I think Sokka was important for the destination. Maybe at the end he wasn't as important, but I definitely think because he was the leader for that group for the first two, even 3 seasons, all 3 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Plus, it would have been awkward if it was just Katara and Aang.
Oh, yeah. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. Like
Yeah.
for the dynamic between them is really important. I just mean the actual fighting people part of it. He wasn't
Yeah.
that important. That's all I'm saying.
Technically, Toph wasn't that important either, though.
Well, I
they
mean,
were
for one,
offended.
she taught him.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's a big thing. But also, she did fight a lot more than he did, and she protected them a lot when Aang couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're underestimating that. Like Katara, while she was kind of mature, she wasn't the. I mean, they tried showing it actually in a couple episodes that she's not the leader type. I mean, that's why they tried so hard to make Sokka feel important, and that he was the guy that kept pushing him. They kept doing all that kind of like. He was the one that pushed the group to do what they needed to do.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I concur. We all in agreement?
I.
Did we miss anyone? Any characters? I don't think.
We definitely did.
Well, oh, I guess Iroh.
I mean, there's Iroh's pretty.
Quick one about Iroh. One of the best characters in the series.
No,
Oh,
worst,
yeah.
worst character.
Oh, you're.
Worst character.
You
No,
know what? You're not
I'm
returning.
just trying to like like we're all just like, yeah, I agree, yeah, that's a great
Well,
character. Like
I
there's
think that
no,
just
we're
shows
not
how
like we're
good the
not
series
fighting with each
is.
other. Oh yeah, definitely.
Like, even
So
though we talked about its faults, we still agree that there's so much good about it.
Yeah,
the Tales from Ba Sing Se episode, where it's going through like everyone's little stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an unimportant episode until you get to the end, and it follows Iroh, and he like is putting together like a funeral pyre for his son.
Yeah, that was one of the parts that almost made me cry.
Oh,
I was just like, yeah, oh my gosh, this is so cool.
yeah,
Like with his
was
like trembling voice.
was that the episode where they did like in a memory of that actor?
yeah,
I think
because he
so.
died like
Yeah,
two
because
weeks
that
later.
first actor, and you can definitely tell the difference in the voice. At least
Mhm.
I can. Like it later on, it's a little. It's just not it's not bad. It's not quite the same. There's sort of like a dissonance in my mind when I hear it. Like that's not it's not really him. Like it sounds close, but like you could like uh, people's voices are very distinct. It's pretty hard to get it exact.
Yeah,
That's why I can't watch Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Oh, that Dragon Ball Z in general. I am going to fight you. Okay, I'm gonna fight you too. Tune in next week to see them fight. Oh, I am really, really
Okay,
ready to
yes,
fight you this
we
time.
get it.
Like, oh man. Like every time I would see it on, it's just preparing to fight.
Okay, guys, so nice, good chunk of minutes, 1 hour and 15 minutes. But it's not going to end here. I'd like to thank Sean, our guest, for being on the very first episode of what
I
is
guess.
of
thanks for having me, guys.
and we'll actually probably be recording. This actually probably won't be out before we record the next one, but we're gonna be recording another one for Legend of Korra. We kind of talked a lot longer than, well, I don't know, maybe
We kind of talked about both quite a bit though. Went
maybe.
back and forth.
There's still a lot more to talk about Legend of Korra. I really want to
Yeah.
get it. I want to dig deep into like those episodes. Maybe if
Mm.
we wait until after, like maybe Saturday night or after that, we can talk about the third episode too, if
Yeah.
that's out.
I don't have a life.
We'll see.
Sean does
I
apparently.
do.
um. Yeah. So, anyways, we're gonna end it here. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.